Well, it finally happened. After multiple weeks of rebellion by Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump finally exploded on Greene on live TV during an Oval Office press conference. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, Donald Trump, as we speak, is having a press conference in the Oval Office, and Caitlin Collins from CNN at one point asked Trump about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And as you know, we've been covering on this channel, there's been a full-blown MAGA rebellion by Greene against Trump, even though she's trying to walk a tightrope. And Trump has not publicly reacted. We've only heard reports of him being pissed behind the scenes. Well, now he erupted on her in public. Check it out.
Syrian president earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president.
Well, you said we had a bad president under Biden, and there was no war that came to the shores of the United States. So what exactly are you talking about? But you see it on his face. He was pissed at hearing what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say regurgitated in public. And I mean, listen, from the quote-unquote America First perspective, she's right? Donald Trump is governing in many ways that are contrary to what he promised his supporters. Now, I would argue, if Greene and others were paying attention, Trump was all over the place. Trump was making all kinds of contradictory comments and commitments left, right, and center. So we shouldn't be surprised. He's a pathological liar, and he has a hard time staying committed even to his followers. He throws them under the bus all the time. But Greene has been increasingly outspoken, even though she's also tried to direct most of her wrath towards Mike Johnson. She very rarely says Trump screwed up. She only heavily implies it. And she'll couch it, well, okay, sure, he's to blame somewhat, but his advisors, are really guiding him wrong. But who knows what's going to happen after this, after Trump said what he said, and he doubles down on it.
I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know.
Well, she knows about the One Big Beautiful Bill. She voted for your One Big Beautiful Bill. It's a terrible bill. It's definitely a misnomer. She's just saying, hey, listen, my constituents are still upset. And polls show this. Remember, Fox News had a poll that said 70% of Americans, 70%, which obviously includes millions of Republicans and conservative voters, saying that prices are higher now under Trump than they were in 2024 under President Biden. And it's not like it's an outlier poll. Trump's polling on the economy is atrocious. People are saying the cost of living is getting worse. Not that it's the same or not that it's gotten better, but not good enough. They're saying it's actively getting worse under Trump. So what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying is, hey, listen, you're failing to deliver on your promises, and it's a bad look for you to be touring around Asia and all these other places defying the America First promises and not actually providing a robust domestic agenda which people can point to as a success. Now, we have speculated as to what might be the source of this antipathy or this rebellion against Trump by Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've given you my opinions. I think it's a combination of sincere motivation. I think it's a combination of looking for what life might be like after Trump leaves office or eventually dies of old age. And also, I think she's pissed off at Trump because he scuttled her ambition to run for Senate. Well, her colleague, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, weighed in on this the other night on Instagram.
Here's some tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all of these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since.
That is certainly, in my opinion, at least one of multiple motivators, if not the primary motivator. She's pissed. She's pissed that Trump sabotaged her. Now, and to be clear, she would have absolutely lost that Senate race. She would have won the primary. There's no doubt about that. The very qualities that would have enabled her to win a primary, her loyalty to Trump, her closeness with Trump, would be detrimental to winning, a general election where, MAGA, they have to run as far right as possible to win the primary, and then double that right. You have to run back as close to the center as humanly possible to win the general election, because it's not enough just simply to win the MAGA vote. So Donald Trump was like, listen, you can't run. If you run, you're going to lose against John Ossoff, the most vulnerable of the Democratic incumbents. Hopefully he wins re-election. And apparently she was quite pissed. And again, that is a huge factor for why she's been leading this rebellion. But for Trump to finally, on camera, and you can see he's visibly pissed, to condemn her for daring to point out the truth. Because you say what you want about Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever her motivations are. They could be sincere, they could be cynical, they could be spiteful, it could be a little of column A, B, and C. What she is saying about Trump is true. He is failing. The cost of groceries and the cost of living and the cost of energy, these things are rising. He has failed to, make his promises or commit to his promises about lowering the cost of living, lowering the cost of groceries and things of that. All of that is true, even if her motivations are suspect. He's like, maybe it's an act to appeal to the other side. I mean, maybe. But can you actually refute what she's saying? No. And it's not only reflected in the polls, it's reflected in the data. Inflation has increased on Trump's watch. It's not that it's stalled out, it's increased. We're seeing jobless claims skyrocket, things we haven't seen in years. Unemployment is ticking up. Job numbers have been downwardly revised to astronomically low levels. What do you have to show for it? What do you actually have to show for your economic policy? Nothing. What was funny is it's come full circle. He's now pointing to the stock market. Stock market's doing extremely well. Okay, well, the stock market generally trends upwards. There are dips and valleys, but the general trend is upward. Again, President Obama, had a number of, all-time highs at the time of his presidency. And then Trump had even more. It got continued under Trump. Under Biden, it continued. So by Trump's own logic, given that the stock market under Biden was better than Trump in his first term, or would Trump concede that the economy, therefore, in Biden's term was better than in Trump's first term? No, he would never say that. He's scrambling. He's desperate. And people are pissed. And that's why Trump is so desperate to gerrymander his way into victory, because he knows the polls don't support him. He's just upset that Marjorie Taylor Greene is daring to tell the truth and bucking the cult line. I don't know where it goes from here. She might try to backpedal. She might be thinking, okay, I overplayed my hand. I need to back off a bit. Or it might incentivize her to get even more outspoken and more direct against Trump. Either way, though, we will definitely be watching with great interest. Pop the popcorn and pop the champagne. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.